I'm Gareth Davies. I've lived in the community now for 49 years. Moved here to Talybont in August 1971. I immediately joined the gardening club in Talybont in 1971-72. I was then elected to represent the gardening association on the Henderson Hall Management Committee because, and I think it's still the system nowadays, where you have a representative from various organisations that exist in the village, you know. So that was my first involvement. I didn't want to take on the chairmanship, but I did take it on about 3 years, 2004 to 2007. One of the things that I can remember as chairman is having trouble with the heating system, and it was constantly giving problems. So we'd have somebody from the company up here to check it out, and people used to complain the hall isn't warm enough, and yeah, that was one of the major issues at the time. I think the problems with the heating system, but they've improved greatly. I mean, nowadays it's unrecognizable really from the problems we had then. Living in a small community, you can't but fail to get an identity with everything that happens around. If you want to contribute something, you hope that it might be useful. I probably got involved with the village show as an exhibitor then through the Gardening Association, because they were running the village show in those days. This has now changed. We now have a village show committee which embraces a wider part of the community, you know. But in those days, we tried to get this open section established. We fought long and hard, and we eventually got it. There were some diehards here who said, no, keep it local, not that there. But we've now got a show that does encourage others to come in from a wider area. And the village show was always known in those days to have characters. There were a couple that remain nameless, they probably passed on. They would come down from Bulch, and he and his daughter would arrive in their van full of produce. Then you could enter on the morning of the show, which was a bad thing really, because she would walk into the show, see what classes didn't have any exhibits in them, and then she'd rush out to say to her dad, you need to put cabbage in that class, there's nothing. You need to put some parsnips in that class, there's nothing there. So they'd rake in the money, the prize money. So we quickly stopped that by saying that entries had to be in a day or 2 days before the show. The carnival has been with us since I can remember. And it has been a good part of the show because it allows children to have a bit of fun and dress up. Adults used to in those days as well. We no longer have much adult involvement these days with the carnival. One of the adults, Mrs. Morris, was renowned for her ability to join in the fun of the occasion and dress up. Gladys Morris lived up in the, sadly passed away many years ago, lived up in the Aber. But no, the ideas that parents came up with and still do today was marvellous to foster that sort of enjoyment on the day of the show. You come to a village, and if I did anyway, you see what's happening. There was a cricket club at the time in 1971. It hadn't yet got any fixtures going. It was there in its infancy, really. The hall had been built in 69. In 71, we were thinking then of using the cricket square that had been laid properly on the field, playing field. So we started to get friendly fixtures against teams around the area. And then we were invited to join the Hereford and District League in 72, 73. Now this is a very competitive league, so you must remember we were there and we play home and away games. And one of the things I can remember vividly is that opposition teams would come here and they'd enjoy their teas in the Sun Lounge. We'd debate what had happened in the first innings, then we'd see if we could put it right in the second innings, that type of thing. And there was always a good community involvement anyway, because the teas were prepared by wives and partners. It all started under the coordination really of a lady called Mrs. Barnes, who lived in Penpentre. Now Terry Barnes was captain. Terry was the captain of the team at the time. She was brilliant with the children. So when we brought our children up, and she always gave them little tidbits of food and everything, they loved coming up here. Anyway, there's something comes to mind when I remember going to an AGM of we'd won promotion, I think, from the 3rd division to the 2nd division. This was great for Talybont. And We were there at the AGM, a big event, and I remember an opposing captain receiving an award and saying, well, we've been promoted with Talybont. We're delighted to go up with Talybont because we know we get the best teas in Talybont that there are in the Hereford League. And I thought to myself, well, that's a pretty good recommendation to all the people who help, you know, in providing from the kitchen the various refreshments. The other thing that comes to mind is that we had some big hitters in that team, some big hitters who would hit a ball long distances up onto the road, down into John Jenkins's fields, and even on a few occasions towards the hall. And I can remember on more than one occasion that glass in the windows of the Sun Lounge being cracked, and we thought, oh gosh, we're going to have problems here. But these are the things that come back to you know, come back into your mind when you think back over them. Big spinner, money spinner was the New Year's Eve, call it Dave's disco. Dave passed on now, but he had a good disco in those days, right? The ladies, Ken, and some of the men would get together, help to prepare food. So it was always a sort of buffet type evening. Very full, the hall was very full. We'd go on into the early hours of the morning, and this was New Year's Eve after New Year's Eve, and it was our main money spinner. So yeah, I mean, we'd have a bar here as well, so it was very popular. People from outside the community would come in, and it was a regular annual event for them. The cricket club had a major impact, in fact, on the village life, because I look back at the names. Sadly, many passed on. You know, there are not many of us left now, but there are names. There are 8 at least out of the 11 were from the village, and that's crucial to foster the community spirit within the team. Of those 8, you'd certainly get 5 or 6 of them regularly maintaining the cricket square, because don't forget, it was a grass wicket, and you've got to do some work on a grass wicket. And we had to come up here, it was sort of twice a week. We had our own steamroller, basically, courtesy of Powys County Council, left it here for us to use. We'd cut the outfield, so it was really a good community spirit, based around the hall. It is important in all aspects of life, in any community, that people, as the years roll on, that other people come along, take up responsibilities, and it's to be hoped that this will continue. A lot of people have done what they feel is made a contribution, and it's important that younger people as well coming through can maintain that interest in the community and the hall.